You're listening to the MoneyWeb SAFM Market Update podcast with host Fifi Peters.
Comair has become the latest airline to resume flights. The operator of Kulula and British Airways returned to the skies today, and the CEO, Glenn Orsmond, joins us for the detail. Glenn, thanks so much for your time. What was the schedule looking like today?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yes, when we had the third wave restrictions that were introduced on 5th of July, we announced we'd suspend operations and restart 1 September. So we're pleased to start on our planned day. So we launched today with our full schedule, about 100 flights a day, and we'll be growing steadily as we move closer towards the end of the year as the season picks up towards December. So it was well received. Flights were all pretty full. Flights on time, obviously very important. And it was a great day for all of us. It was spring, which is wonderful as well. So spring is in the air and the aircraft in the air, so we're all quite happy right now.
And are you able to tell whether this travel was for business or for leisure?
Okay, so if you look at the South African market pre-COVID, it was about 15 million departing passengers a year. The experience we had from about April, May, June, July, it's dropped to about 10 million a year if you take annualized. So the overall flying market has dropped by about a third of what it was. And the fall in the market is really mainly from two areas. The one is all the international connecting passengers aren't coming in anymore. They've effectively been blocked. So that's a big chunk. But the more important chunk that's not flying is the South African business traveller. So all the leisure travellers, they're doing it, but they're flying sort of almost at the same level that they were pre-COVID. But the South African business traveller, they're probably down to about 20-30% of pre-COVID levels. And that used to be about half our market. So it has been tough, and there's been a fundamental change in how people travel in terms of business. So most business guys are sitting at home and doing Teams and Zoom meetings rather than traveling for face-to-face meetings.
And I mean, since July then, when you did ground your fleet as a result of the lockdown level 4, what happened to your staff, and what's the situation looking like now that you're back in the sky?
Yeah, so they introduced the restrictions on the 5th of July, and effectively there was a prohibition for almost a month, and we then needed a month to restart again, hence our 1 September plan date. So staff have taken reduced salaries for the months of July and August, and for the amount that was reduced by, that has been deferred and they will be paid that later. But it has really been tough on staff. If you take the South African air travel market has dropped, as I said, by a third, and that's impacted on our staff numbers. So while the airline will probably be about 70-80% of the size it was pre-COVID, our staff numbers will have dropped from about 2,000 to about 1,300. So staff have borne the brunt of the impact of the COVID. It's forced us all to become more efficient and more competitive. And, what's really great is that if you look at the airfares from today, all the airlines have dropped their airfares. So the real big losers in July and August was just the high airfare. So if you take July, August, the market probably dropped about 15-20% of what it was, and the airlines who stayed on, they really just raised airfares probably by about 100%. So at least you've seen all those airfares have fallen now that we're in the sky again. So hopefully that will stimulate travel as well. Because the market needs competition, and there's been no competition for the past 2 months.
And how sustainable is that, though, Glenn? I mean, I saw a headline, was it yesterday, where the petrol price, or the price of oil just went up yet again. So how sustainable are lower airfares in your view?
Yeah, so if you look at the market, we're the only guys who run two brands. So we run the low-cost brand, which is the Kulula brand, and then importantly, we run the British Airways brand. And the British Airways brand is obviously a superior brand. And right now, it's the only airline that offers a product for the business traveller. We have fleet network, we have high frequencies, we have an excellent product, leg room, and importantly, we have the frequent flyer mileage program. So the market is happy to pay a premium for that. I'm talking about the leisure market, really, where the sustainable airfares or the airfares being charged now, and probably the airfares for the past month or two were way in excess of what's required to earn reasonable margins.
And I mean, in this almost 2 months or a couple of weeks that you have, been away, I imagine that quite a lot of planning has been done at board level to come back stronger. So are you planning to do anything differently this time around? And if so, what?
Yes, we flew for 75 years. We had the first wave of COVID, which forced us into business rescue for 8 months. We then started again 1st of December last year. We survived through the second wave, which was tough. And then the third wave was really a lot tougher simply because there was a prohibition on frontier air travel. So it was really tough. And, we've had to right-size our business. We've had to say that the new reality is the market is smaller by a third than what it was. And our focus in this period has just been to right-size the business way down in line with what the size of the market is. So we're fairly confident that we've achieved that now. Our break-even load factors are extremely lower than they've ever been. We've invested heavily in technology as well. So we've launched a new Kulula app, which is bringing down our distribution costs. So there's a whole host of things we've been doing these 2 months. In fact, I was just saying it's the hardest I've worked these past 2 months while we weren't flying. Yeah.
I read an article suggesting that you were looking at new routes, one of them possibly being Mauritius. Is this true?
No, we've always flown to Mauritius. So, but we weren't able to fly because of the COVID regulations.
Right.
So they've now listed it in terms of travel advisory. So South Africans can now fly to Mauritius, provided you've been vaccinated and you do the 72-hour test. So there's no need when you arrive in Mauritius to undergo a period of quarantine. So we've just added 2 flights a week now. So I think South Africans are so relieved. We've had a massive surge in bookings. So we fly to Mauritius Tuesdays and Saturdays. So South Africans can have a 3-day, 4-day, 7-day package, whatever works for them. And by far it is the best deal right now out there. So it's not that we're starting, it's just reintroducing the flights that we had.
All right, Glenn, we'll leave it there. Very fortunate South Africans who can take a break from all this economic headache that the pandemic has brought and go on to the islands of Mauritius and drink some coconut juice. I wish I was them. But maybe in another lifetime, or maybe very soon. But that was Glenn Orsman, the CEO at Comair.
You've been listening to another MoneyWeb SAFM Market Update podcast, uploaded weekdays at 7 p.m. For more MoneyWeb podcasts, go to moneyweb.co.za or the app and follow MoneyWeb News for daily updates.